Welcome to the Engerati studio. We're live at European Utility Week and I'm Rose and I'm joined now by Ferry Cserép, CEO of Netinium.
Yeah.
Ferry, thank you for joining us.
Yes, Rose, thank you.
In the European market, we're seeing smart metering rollouts move from a pilot to a sort of mass rollout stage. And as a player in that field, what observations are you making?
Yeah, as you said, I mean, I think that the piloting phase is over for most of the utilities, and going into mass rollouts comes with scale, and scale provides new let's say things to address. I give an example. If in your initial rollout you have about 8% of revisits to do to clean up things that went wrong in the initial rollout, you in a rollout of 5 million meters, you could easily lose 40 million euros. So being able to control that environment, being able to manage the quality of your rollout and your infrastructure of digital assets, that becomes really a key thing.
Well, what kind of lessons have European countries that are doing the mass rollouts at scale learning?
There's a number of countries that already have had mass rollouts. The majority, I think, is still to come, and the pressure is really on those countries to deliver something, and they don't have the luxury anymore of time to kind of invent everything themselves. So they have to go into a mode where they have to procure already proven systems, and the biggest challenge for them is to get the right processes in place, in fact, around that. You know, it's not only about the tools; it's also about the processes that you have to do as a utility.
Okay, what the internal processes to be able to clean up the data and
well, it's not about data. It's about getting the digital assets into your infrastructure. And if you look at what we have seen in the Netherlands, for instance, we have been with Alliander for the last 20 years, and we commenced the rollout about 10 years ago. Then we had to stop because of privacy and security concerns, and then at the moment we are in full swing of rollout again. And before 2020 we will hit the 6 million meter mark of installed meters, but that wasn't really a smooth ride. You know, so for instance, we had standards. The initial standard was drawn up in 2007, and we have iterated. We are now at the 5th major iteration of that standard, and so once you roll out devices in your network, your standards they go through an evolution. And if you see what happened in the Alliander case, we moved also from PLC-based systems to GPS-based systems to now CDMA and LTE.
Okay.
And then having that with about 10 different meter vendors, so suddenly the growing diversity and the complexity of your infrastructure becomes really something that you really have to manage. And that provides challenges for a utility.
Yeah. What do you think of the Dutch smart meter model?
Well, actually, I had some discussions with other people around here. I think that putting that into the hands of the grid operators themselves instead of the retailers, I think that's one of the key factors for success. They're also the ones that are going to progress into things that we call smart grid, and I think that the rollout of smart meters is actually the first application of what we call a smart grid. And by doing so, they learn what to do with this growing base of digital assets and the diversity with that, and then they have to learn how to cope with the changes that occur all the time. So once they do that with smart metering, then they finally can also progress into other let's say smart grid areas like EV charging and solar power and batteries and so on.
Yeah,
but it's a kind of learning stage for them to progress to the next level.
Okay, so smart meters are kind of like an enabler essentially to open up these other
it's a school, I would say.
Yeah. In terms of EV, I mean, is that something that's taking off in Holland? Is it?
Yeah, particularly in Holland, I would say. I think that with the climate change coming on and so on, a lot of countries, particularly in Europe, will start to implement all kinds of new initiatives to promote the use of electricity for transportation and even for heating in houses and so on. So the diversity of the digital assets is not only about smart meters, but it will be EV charging, it will be batteries, it will be solar powers, you know. So it becomes really a growing field of all kinds of new applications. And if you have an IT infrastructure that cannot sustain that growing diversity in these new applications, then you're in for a rough ride.
Yeah, I mean, how well placed are Dutch utilities to develop their networks to respond to prosumers' demands or increased EV penetration?
Yeah, I think by having a let's say a neutral entity like a DSO to cater for the infrastructure and let's say as a facilitator for commercial parties to actually have the relation with the consumers and so on, but being able to provide a solid infrastructure that can leverage all those elements. I think that's one of the key differentiators, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talk at this event about the challenges DSOs are facing. I mean, I'm sure you chat to a lot every week.
Yeah.
What are they telling you is really front of mind at the moment?
Since we are in this phase of mass rollout of meters, so their main concerns now is to do that very well. As I said before, it's very easy to lose money if you get things wrong. So their main focus is now probably on how do we do it right. It's not good enough anymore to focus only on the hardware. You really have to have the IT systems to sustain your things that's going. Actually, to get a good ROI, the IT systems are key. Actually, to utilize your digital assets, a smart meter, putting it on the wall, but not being able to read proper data from it.
Yeah.
That's no use. Yeah. So I can understand that the main focus at the moment is on smart metering, but at the same time. We see all these other applications coming on, like EV charging and solar and batteries and so on. And if they don't speed up, then market parties will already have also grown an infrastructure, and then they're faced with that as a reality.
Yeah.
And they can't change anything about it anymore. If they speed up, and they will be able to be in that game, they can set the standards and they can make sure that they are in control of the environment that they have to control, in fact, because they have to make sure that the lights stay on.
And do you feel the regulatory environment is in their favour, or they're in quite a difficult place?
Regulators are usually always lagging. Yeah, so I think that innovation is good, and that it provides a path for the future. But what we see today, for instance, with what I said before, the progressing from a first iteration of a standard down to the fifth, you can leverage that knowledge and that qualities and make that applicable to the other application areas as well. And that requires less legislation, let's say less new legislation, because you can already also leverage some of the things that you do in the other areas.
Okay. And just to finish off, Netinium, as a company, what's your news? What are your plans for the coming year?
Well, our product is a central layer that will connect with all the digital assets in the field, and is a kind of hinge between all your field and your business processes. And it provides a uniform environment to allow a utility to provide uniform processes across all the digital assets. So, for instance, security policy for smart metering can be applied across the different brands of meters. But now, if you extend that into other application areas, that same security policy can also be applied for EV charging or solar power monitoring and so on. And of course, our product will reflect that kind of changes. At the moment, you would be able to call it a super duper head end for smart meters, but because it's so flexible, we can easily extend into the other application areas.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ferry, for your time and your insights. And you can watch more of the interviews from European Utility Week on our YouTube channel. Thanks for your time.